Russell gets around the corner. Jerry Miro tried to catch him, but fell about a step short. And so Russell scores the try for Old Blue, and they build their lead back up to 19-7. And we'll see about the conversion. Russell will have to try to get it himself. It's not an easy angle. He's 2 for 2 so far in this game. Now we'll see what Bill can do here in the latter stages of the first half. And Russell's kick is high enough.
That's wide.
And it's wide.
Bill is from Scotland. He played for the Scottish University's representative team before he came over to the States to get his master's and doctorate, I think, from the University of Virginia.
So some very, very well-educated rugby players here.
Yeah, the vast majority of rugby players are college graduates. Probably on the order of 80% of the active players in the country have been to graduated from 4-year school.
Right.
Lyndon Gross started playing rugby at medical school, downstate medical school in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And is continuing his career while a doctor.
DiMaggio's kick is blocked, and Lyndon Gross picks it up.
The New York area has a league of professional schools, 11 teams made up of law schools, Columbia Business School, and the various medical schools around the city. So it does tend to attract a educated group.
And free kick is awarded. And that is halftime. The winner of this game will play the winner of Kansas City versus Milwaukee. And because they are the first of the 2 semifinals, they'll actually get about a 20-minute longer break before they'll have to play in the finals than the Kansas City-Milwaukee winner will have to. Okay, and we are about to begin the second half in this first semifinal.
Bill thinks he's wasting time here, but the referee won't start the half until he actually kicks the ball. So all his antics there will to know it.
And we have now been furnished with a monitor here in the booth, so we can see it as you watch it. And our thanks, of course, to our excellent technical crew here today, Dennis Januszewski and Mike Ryan, among many others. Outstanding photographers here on a warm day.
I think thanks also have to go to the city of Hartford, who make this facility available on an ongoing basis to the Wanderers for these national competitions. This is a splendid facility. We have difficulty finding facilities because most stadiums are football fields. The field is too narrow, or a field that has a track around it, which makes it impossible to put a full-size field in it.
Right.
So this is one of the few really nice full-size facilities that we have.
Yeah, it is a very well-maintained field, too. It's been a very dry summer here in these parts. Most of the residential lawns you see around here are pretty well yellowed and browned out by now, but this is a nice green grass field.
They apparently spent a lot of time maintaining the field for the relatively limited usage that it has, but it's...
Here goes Old Blue for another try. And it's good. Kennedy
scored again. He again ran around the Amex defender. Brian Carroll has come on for Jerry Moreau. No, Jerry's still out there, but has come on as a replacement. He actually started the game. He was a reserve in yesterday's game. And again, Brian is a little older to be playing at this level, and against the youth, I think he capitalized on that.
It was a pretty good move by Dan Kennedy, plus the threat, I think, of Dumpson maybe receiving a pass had to kind of distract some of the Olmecs defenders from keying on Kennedy. Here's the conversion attempt coming up by Russell.
That's what you said is absolutely true. You cannot have everybody go after the ball carrier. This is almost a zone defense arrangement where you're not marking your man, but have to be aware of the space around you. Not give anybody. With enough space, the slowest man on the field here can score tries. So you want to spread it out and keep the space covered.
And it is a huge field to be covered by 7 players. And when you have athletes with dangerous speed, it's got to be pretty intimidating in a game like this.
This is a great game for Americans. I mean, it's speed, good handling abilities, the sometimes complicated strategy of 15s is not needed here. So a good athlete can get into this game and play it at a very high level. Witness Jeff Dunston.
Yep. Here's an interception now by Old Blue.
That was Ed Simpson. This is Tom Brewer who just took that ball. Tom has been on the U.S. team a number of times and has had very bad luck, really, with his knee. Last year we had a tour to Australia, Fiji, and Hong Kong. And Tom hurt his knee at practice before the first game in Australia. Had to be replaced. He had knee surgery and is back at it again. That really cost him his spot on the World Cup team, too.
One of the things about rugby is that people who play it are probably very good to their travel agents. A lot of frequent flyer miles in this sport.
Yep.
Well, it comes back out to Russell. Old Blue firmly in control here. Russell with a great kick for touch. He's chasing after it, gets a favorable bounce, and it's picked up, and this could be an instant try. Ed Simpson dashes over the try line. Carter Mann, rather.
Carter came in as a reserve before when Jim Lawyer went off. So there are 2 number 7s on the field for Old Blue.
The effective thing is that 7 was a lucky number there. Carter Mann on the kick for Russell. Russell kicked for touch, ran down after it. Ball bounced high in the air, got away from 2 Amex defenders, came right down into the hands of Carter Mann. Carter picked it up and smelled pay dirt. Scored the try. 29-7 is the score here as Old Blue is looking more and more like a finalist here. Good kick that time by Russell. Again, a tough angle, tips it off the goal post and goes in. Bill Russell's been living right on that kick.
Well, he broke blind that time from the blind side at the shorter side of the field. In 7s, there's no wing back there to play defense.
Right.
And did get a lucky bounce. This field is in great condition, so it didn't sit in the mud or bounce crazily because it was too hard. So worked out very well.
Good for Pittsburgh. Look at this play here. I don't know who's going to catch Dumpson. Dumpson goes flying down the left sideline, and he's learning his rugby fast. He goes right to the center of the field. Touchdown. There's a man who scored a lot of football touchdowns. There's a rugby try. Jeff Dumpson, the wing for Old Blue, Washington Redskin alum. A lot of talent there, and that play was just set up beautifully. They received the kick and just lateraled it almost to Dumpson.
Well, the Amex kicked away from their numbers and didn't have good enough coverage on the reception by Old Blue, and it was that space. And with somebody with the speed of Dumpson, there's no way to stop it.
So you're now at 38-7 as Bill Russell kicks it right through. And Old Blue, you mentioned in the open to this game the emphasis on speed that they have, and right there on that set play really for Dumpson, you couldn't see a better example than that. Bernetti kicks off for Amex.
Kicks it away
goes
from
the other side of the field, and an immediate kick for touch. And again, they take advantage of their speed as Kennedy runs down after it. Kicks it away from the defender. That defender was Artie Fitzpatrick. Kennedy gets it back. Smart play by Dan. He gives it up. Ed Simpson, rather. And the try is good by Russell.
I don't know if the camera's on it, but 2 Old Blue players are back well past halfway. There's no point in exhausting themselves at this point. They're saving their energies for the final. The game is out of hand, and didn't expend the energy running the 50 yards to support a already well-supported move.
Yeah, Tom Brewer and Jeff Dumpson did a little sightseeing there as they were a long way away from the action, but it didn't matter. Old Blue able to score anyway. Russell scores it. Russell scores the conversion. 45-7. There's the final whistle. And Old Blue, a powerhouse attack. 45, Amex 7 in the first of our two club semifinals. Boy, they look real good, though.
Yeah, they're outclassed Amex in this case. Amex is a first division club. Old Blue is a first division club in the New York League, and Amex is a second division club. And I think the levels of capability, athleticism, experience just showed up here in spades that the better athletes, faster athletes won.
And one of these two teams will be taking on Old Blue. And the kick comes over and an immediate solid hit laid on by John Franklin of Kansas City. But it is played out to Dave Gosh, the scrum half for Milwaukee. Gosh still with it. And he gets tripped up by Chuck McKeon, rather.
Yesterday, Milwaukee won all their games very easily in their pool competition. And they are a combination of speed and size, strength, experience. Milwaukee has been in the competition for the U.S. 15s Club Championship several times, and some experienced players in the Midwest. There are no former Eagles or anything on their team, but they do have a very good level of experience at the top of the American game. Kansas City has been, this year was in the semifinals of the 15s Club Championship for the first time in a very long time. Have one former Eagle, Frank Kennedy, who's a little older than the rest of the folk here, is in his mid-30s. But the rest of their team is relatively new at this level. They were fairly convincingly beaten by Old Blue yesterday and won their other game. So this will be should be a Milwaukee win, but we'll see what happens as the game goes on.
And they play it up. Milwaukee kicks fairly deep, but it's picked up by Frank Kennedy for the Blues. And Kennedy's able to create a break, gets it over to Lonergan, and it's given off to Williams, and going wide there for the try. Billy Lonergan scores. Kansas City Blues lead 5-0.
That was a nice series by Kansas City. Good support, coverage. They got the ball and did well to score.
So the Kansas City Blues.
I think Kansas City was probably disappointed at their performance yesterday, would be my personal opinion, and maybe out to prove something today that they did belong here.
No kidding.
Maybe looking for an upset. We had one already today with the East 2 B team beating their senior brothers, so we'll see what we can do here.
That was the closest game that we've had in the All-Star competition, that East 2 17-14 victory over East 1. Old Blue in the club competition beat Amex easily 45-7 as the kick attempt goes wide, and the lead is 5-0, Kansas City over Milwaukee early in the first half of this second semifinal in the club championship. The Blues get the ball back. That kick is blocked. Pretty good play out wide there from Dave Gosh, the scrum half of Milwaukee.
As we said earlier, the competition rules were written in the old days when we had a lot of non-Americans playing the game, and both of these squads are almost exclusively American-born players. Simon Bailey from Milwaukee is an Englishman. I think he's the only non-American on the field. We're doing better at growing our own stars here.
Yeah. Milwaukee having a little trouble getting started here. And play on, says the official. A ruck for the ball. And now there's a whistle.
It's a referee's discretion as to how long he should allow that to go on. If he thinks the ball is on its way out, he will allow it to continue. But in that case, he decided it wasn't going anywhere, and it gets dangerous and tiring after a while. Doesn't do anything for the game, so he blew the whistle.
So Lonergan played the ball in for the scrum. Lonergan has the only try in this game so far, 5-0 lead for the Kansas City Blues.
He's going to take a penalty kick here, which will be worth 3 points.
Yeah.
Penalties are awarded for infractions. Just recently, the International Rugby Board changed the value of a try from 4 points to 5 to try to encourage scoring with higher tries in rugby as opposed to penalty kicks.
Right, because when it was only 4, then there was only 1 point difference.
Too close. Now you can get 7 points for a converted try, which is better than 2 penalties.
Uh-huh.
So it's had a bit of an effect.
The long kick is up,
that was,
and
wide,
no good. Boy, you had the distance, though.
That would be considered a kickable penalty. You should be able to make a kick from the middle of the field from 50 yards. Good kicker.
Good.
And Milwaukee
had trouble clearing the ball. Now they're paying for it.
Yeah, that is something that they have not been able to do well in the early stages of this one. And the Blues get it back. Kansas City on the break. They pass it out wide, and that's an automatic try almost. Great assist from Paul Tripp, and a fine score by Doug Brown.
That's a classic making space. He drew 2 men to him. He moved inside and created space on the outside for his wing. Before he went down on the tackle, he passed the ball out, didn't die with it, passed it out to the wing, scored an easy try in the corner.
Very knowledgeable rugby fans.
Classic rugby move.
And the knowledgeable fans gave them a good round of applause. They appreciate a job well done. Only problem is the conversion is from way out near the touchline.
Long way away.
But the lead now for the Blues, 10-0.
We always thought this kicking idea would be a good deal for American football. It would sort of take away the automatic nature of a point after for a touchdown.
That is an excellent idea. Boy, he almost made that.
Kansas City has 10.
That bounced off the soccer goal post behind the rugby post there. Good kick. Just didn't quite make it.
So the only guy on Kansas City with the Blues right now is their kicker. They lead 10-0. Milwaukee needs to get a little bit better organized in their set play.
They seem a little bit tight at the moment. They were very loose yesterday, very fluid, combining best of all their styles of rugby here. And right now they seem to be not loose.
And the Blues have been playing with confidence, but the ball's deep in their own end zone now. There's a good chance by Milwaukee if they can come up with the loose ball. It comes out to him. That's Bill Heber. Heber tries to beat his one man. A lot of moves. Gives the ball up.
So he held on to it a little too long and had no ability to pass where he wanted to. He got thumped for his trouble and the ball went awry.
He also was kind of pinned up against the sideline, so he was just running out of room. Tried to make a lot of room, for himself, but couldn't do it.
This is where the familiarity with each other would help a club over an all-star program. They've been playing together long enough. They should know enough to be around when somebody's in trouble and help them get out of that.
So the first half is now history in the semifinal, and Kansas City leads 10-0 as you get a look at our referee for this particular match. And so far, speaking of referees, I think the only really controversial call was in that game between East 2 and East 1, the very late goal by O'Connor.
The last try by O'Connor was I guess, a gift. It was the end of the game. It had no bearing on the outcome, but the referee missed a clear forward pass. In rugby, you can pass the ball laterally or behind you. You can kick it forward, but you can't pass it forward. So that was a faux pas there, but it didn't matter to the outcome.
Had no effect on the outcome of the game. Just made the score a little tighter. Here in the club semifinals, the Kansas City Blues scored by Billy Lonergan and then again by Doug Brown. Had 2 tries there in the first half. Neither one of the conversions was successful. But the Blues are on top 10-0, and the Milwaukee club wants to get the ball back quickly off this opening kick and want to mount a rally for themselves. Let's see if they can kind of pick up.
Now, ideally, the kickoff will be high enough to allow the forwards from Milwaukee to run under the ball so they can get it back from the Kansas City team. In theory, they know where it's going. Kansas City doesn't. But it wasn't quite high enough, and only one man was able to get there.
And the opening kick, you scuffle around a little bit for it. This would be a good chance for Milwaukee if they can get the ball here. They're deep in the Blues territory. There is a whistle. Here in
that little exchange there shows up another thing. That you can't just have speed merchants on this game. You need to have people with some arm strength and upper body strength to keep and gain possession of the ball in those situations.
And here comes Milwaukee. They get it out wide, but now they reverse the field. Coming up is Steve Jung, rather. Milwaukee will get it back.
Again,
Milwaukee their best chance of the afternoon.
Milwaukee's looking nervous here.
But they are able to get it across the line. Rich Matizik.
He's a very large fellow, 6'4", 225. Looks like he laid out one of the Kansas City players on his way in there. Rich scored 3 tries in one of the preliminary matches yesterday.
And so the gentlemen from Wisconsin have cut the lead in half. We do have an injured Kansas City Blue, as we can see on the screen.
He's getting
up very slowly. We're happy to see him getting up. John Franklin, the prop, number 1. John, a little woozy. And collision with somebody the size of Rich Matizik will probably do that to a lot of people.
Now, John, in his 15s experience, plays fullback, so he's not used to having necessarily one-on-one, head-to-head butts with people that size.
Simon Bailey, with the conversion attempt, is high enough,
but it's wide to the
wide left. So neither team has been able to make any of their conversion attempts today in this particular match, and so it's a game of 3 tries. Lonergan and Brown for Kansas City. For Milwaukee, Rich Matizik. 10-5 is the score. Still anybody's game in the second half, and now Milwaukee will get the ball right back on this kickoff.
Yeah, we'll see if Milwaukee has composed themselves after getting their first score. They still looked a little at odds with themselves there.
McKeon's kick. Milwaukee does get it. Here comes Brown, Doug Brown. That pass momentarily mishandled. They're trying to spin it out wide.
2-on-1 there.
2-on-1. Good break here for Milwaukee's Steve Jung. And there goes Steve, right up the middle of the field. Jung right near the line. Won't get it over. Good hustling tackles by the Blues. Kansas City now, this is a very important scrum.
Yeah, this is where the upper body strength will make a difference. Who gets the ball out of that ruck?
Casey does.
Casey cleared it.
Kick for touch.
Yeah, Milwaukee had no one back, so they wasted a lot of time here.
Yep.
They wasted another time getting set to be onside, so they weren't having forward passes.
Travis Williams, number 7, gets hit hard. So as everybody gets up, here comes Milwaukee trying to tie it or go ahead. They give up the ball. The Blues get it back. McKeon. The long kick for touch. Let's see which way it bounces. Pretty much straight in the air, and it comes into the hands of Heber. And it comes over to McKissick. McKissick scored the try for Milwaukee. Rich still has the ball, but a good tackle there by McKeon. And now they've got a potential 2-on-1. They could get it out wide. There goes Jung. 1-on-1. What a tackle, though, by Doug Brown. But look who comes out of the pack. It's number 13. There's Wayne Morgan for Milwaukee. We're tied at 10.
That was a wing who knew that he didn't have the wheels to get in, stayed on his feet, good strength to stay up, and waited for support. He had to wait a little longer than you might like, but the support was there, and a beautiful try.
Well, what a setup by Steve Jung, and Morgan came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, with all engines cranking, took the ball and scored the try. And now we are tied. First half, all Kansas City. Second half, all Milwaukee, and they go ahead on the successful conversion.
I think the fellow who made that conversion, Mike Landry, is the oldest player in the competition. He is 41 years old. Bailey made that.
I believe it was actually Simon Bailey.
Sorry. Landry's out there as the fly half.
41 years old?
Yes.
Good for him.
Born in 52. Good year.
Well, I'm glad there's somebody out here who's actually older than me. Not by much. So now the Blues are facing a deficit for the first time. Knocked around a little bit. And the ball played forward by John Franklin.
Well, John has recovered from his meeting with Matusik before, covering that kick very well. The scrum half for Milwaukee was not able to clear the ball quickly enough, which allowed the defending scrum half to come around and give them difficulty. In fact, they won the ball.
There's a good setup now for the Blues. They're trying to come from behind. The pass back inside. Forward pass, and we do have a whistle about 15 yards out from the
Kansas City had an opportunity to go wide, decided to go back inside, and the man in the while being tackled knocked the ball forward. It wasn't really a pass forward; he fumbled it forward, which is a penalty scrum.
And the scrum comes out to the Blues, and the half goes right up the gut, trying right near the line.
But he again knocked the ball forward in a tackle. And that was, if Kansas City had another man in support, or a man on his feet in support, the man there really was falling as he was getting the ball, they would have had an easy try.
A beautiful setup for the Blues, and they score! Taking it himself is Clark McKeon, and he puts the Blues right back on top, 15-12. That is a pretty slick move by McKeon, faking the pass, diving over himself.
Well, he earned his captain's stripe on that one. That was a very good heads-up play. I think Milwaukee was a little sleepy on that one. They should have moved up and prevented that from happening, but didn't.
So Chuck McKeon has given Kansas City a 15-12 lead. They will try to make it 17-12. Time winding down here in a very busy second half.
Well, Milwaukee clearly found their touch in this half, and we'll see if they can do something here.
Kick is up. Kick is good. Successful by Doug Brown. So 17-12 is the score now. Kansas City goes back on top for the first time in the here late in the second half, and the Blues get the ball right back, of course. They spin it out wide, and they've now got some numbers, but that pass had a chance to go a long way, but the whistle blows, and there's your final score. The Kansas City Blues, courtesy of that late try by McKeon. Win 17-12, and boy, what a nail-biter that one was.
Yeah, that was a good game. That was another probable considered upset, but KC did very well. Came back and scored. They announced there, we may possibly missed it, Matisik was the leading try scorer of the competition thus far. He scored 9 tries. So the big man did very well.
Kansas City scored in the first half by Billy Lonergan and Doug Brown. The lead at halftime was 10-0. Milwaukee's Matisik cut the lead to 10-5. Then Wayne Morgan scored for Milwaukee to tie the score at 10. Simon Bailey's conversion put Milwaukee on top 12-10. But very late in the contest, the Kansas City Blues, courtesy of the fly half McKeon, scored to make their lead 15-12. Doug Brown put on the final conversion 17-12. So the Kansas City Blues advance to the finals of the club championship, in which they will face the Old Blue